Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's get into the Word of God. Let's go to the book of John, and we're going to go to chapter number 9 as we continue our series on the miracles of Jesus. We are going to read a lot of verses, pretty much almost the whole chapter, so I will just go ahead and start. Bible says, starting with verse 1, "As Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, Neither hath this man sinned nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him." Remember that. All right, just because you are born into unfortunate circumstances doesn't mean that you did anything wrong or your parents did anything wrong, per se. All of it is for one reason only, the glory of God. Verse 4, "I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world." When he had thus spoken, he spat on the ground and made clay of the spittle. And he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay. And said unto him, Go, wash in the pool of Siloam, which is by interpretation sent. He went his way therefore, and washed, and came seeing. Now, why did he have to do all that? Why did the Lord use clay? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know why he did that and why he had to take those steps. But nevertheless, it doesn't matter. Whether he just said a few words or had him put some clay on him and go wash himself and come back, it doesn't matter. What matters is this man was healed miraculously by Jesus Christ, proving that Jesus is Messiah. Clearly a sign that only somebody sent from heaven can do. Verse 8, "The neighbours therefore, and they which before had seen him, that he was blind, said, Is not this he that sat and begged? Some said, This is he. Others said, He is like him. But he said, I am he." Verse 10, "Therefore said they unto him, How were thine eyes opened? He answered and said, A man that is called Jesus made clay and anointed mine eyes, and said unto me, Go to the pool of Siloam and wash. And I went and washed, and I received sight. Then said they unto him, Where is he? He said, I know not. They brought to the Pharisees him that aforetime was blind. And it was the Sabbath day when Jesus made the clay and opened his eyes. Then again the Pharisees also asked him how he had received his sight. He said unto them, He put clay upon mine eyes, and I washed, and do see. Therefore said some of the Pharisees, This man is not of God, because he keepeth not the Sabbath day. Others said, How can a man that is a sinner do such miracles? And there was a division among them." So there are people here who were very angry at this man simply because he took Jesus' advice and was healed from it. It's absolutely absurd. These Pharisees were so jealous of Jesus that they just could not stand the fact that God was using him and not using them. Verse 17. "They say unto the blind man, again, What sayest thou of him, he that hath opened thine eyes? He said, He is a prophet. But the Jews did not believe concerning him, and that he had been blind and received his sight, until they called the parents of him that had received his sight. And they asked them," so now they want to verify with his parents, make sure that he really was blind. And they asked them, verse 19, saying, Is this your son, who ye say was born blind? How then doth he now see? His parents answered them and said, We know that this is our son, and that he was born blind. But by what means he now seeth, we know not. Or who hath opened his eyes, we know not. He is of age, ask him. He shall speak for himself. These words spake his parents, because they feared the Jews. For the Jews had agreed already that if any man did confess that he was Christ, he should be put out of the synagogue. So the Jews had a very, very bad temper, and they did not like anyone doing things against what they wanted, doing things against their preferences and traditions and especially healing and doing anything helpful for people. They didn't like that. And especially on the Sabbath, they absolutely did not like anybody else helping people. They wanted the glory of helping people, but God didn't use them to heal, obviously. It was Jesus that could perform those signs because he's Messiah, whom they rejected. Verse 24, then again called they the man that was blind and said unto him, give God the praise. We know that this man is a sinner. So now they're criticizing Jesus. He answered and said, whether he be a sinner or no, I know not. One thing I know, that whereas I was blind, now I see. Then said they to him again, what did he to thee? How opened he thine eyes? He answered them, I've told you already. Ye did not hear. Wherefore would ye hear it again? Will ye also be his disciples? Then they reviled him and said, thou art his disciple, but we are Moses' disciples. Now they're just making fun of him and attacking him verbally and really just losing their cool. We know that God spake unto Moses, for as this fellow we know not from whence he is. The man answered and said unto them, why herein is a marvelous thing, that ye know not from whence he is, and yet he hath opened mine eyes. Now we know that God heareth not sinners, but if any man be a worshipper of God, and doeth his will, him he heareth. Since the world began, was it not heard that any man opened the eyes of one that was born blind? If this man were not of God, he could do nothing. They answered and said unto him, thou wast altogether born in sins. Now they're just criticizing him. They can't argue with his logic, and so they just go straight to insulting him. And dost thou teach us? And they cast him out. Jesus heard that they had cast him out, and when he had found him, he said unto him, dost thou believe on the Son of God? He answered and said, who is he, Lord, that I might believe on him? And Jesus said unto him, thou hast both seen him, and it is he that talketh with thee. And he said, Lord, I believe. And he worshipped him. The whole point of healing him of this blindness was to direct him to Christ and receive salvation. Folks, that is what it is all about. And I am totally out of time. Thank you so much for joining me today. God bless you. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.